Yeah, hello and good afternoon. Afternoon here in Switzerland, at least, to our webinar, a tour of Madagascar. I'm happy to be with you. My name is Yvonne Vasquez. I work with PRONATEC since the year 2009, and I'm now responsible for the area of vanilla and spices. I also have to remind you that this presentation is being recorded, and I would like to give my word to my colleague Marco.
Good afternoon, and also from my side, a very warm welcome to today's webinar. My name is Marco Steiner, and before Yvonne, I was responsible for the Vanilla and Spices department for about 4 years. Had the chance to travel several times to Madagascar. Yeah, and happy to share some impressions with you today. Let's start with a short introduction video. So in Madagascar, PRONATEC and our local partner company Premium Spices collaborate with 5 different small-scale farmer organizations. More than 2,300 producers cultivate vanilla, cloves, cinnamon, ginger, turmeric, and also cocoa under organic and fair trade conditions. The main cultivation area for vanilla is located in the so-called Sava region in the far northeast of Madagascar. Our partner company started cultivating organic vanilla in the southern foothills of this region almost 20 years ago, and by now has its own processing centers in the village of Mananar. The area is very, very remote and quite difficult to access by land. However, exactly due to this remoteness, the zone is still well preserved and has very traditional villages and producers. In the picture, you can see a part of this center, of the processing center in Mananar, with the outdoor drying areas, where our employees are currently laying out the already well-fermented pots for sun drying. In the background, you can see 2 white buildings with tall open doors at the lower part. These are our warehouses. The one on the left is for vanilla, and the one on the right is for cloves. This spatial separation is quite important because both products, so vanilla and cloves, have a very intense smell. Our current partner, the company Premium Spices, started approximately 20 years ago in the Biosphere Reserve in Mazuala National Park, where they aimed to provide the locals with a more sustainable source of income instead of exploiting precious hardwoods from the local rainforest. Since the year 2010, PRONATEC has been the exclusive buyer and also marketer of all Premium Spice products. The company Premium Spices employs around 20 permanent employees throughout the year, and during the main harvest season, up to 150 seasonal workers are hired additionally. Let's now take a more closer look into the field of vanilla. The vanilla plant blooms in the months of September to December. Since in Madagascar there are no bees or hummingbirds, as there are in the actual country of origin, which is Mexico, and which could take over the pollination of the orchid, this is done by hand by local farmers. The flower or the flowers of a single vanilla plant blossom one after the other. A flower opens for only a few hours at a time. Afterwards, it withers again. During these few hours, the flower has to be pollinated with a wooden stick by lifting the flower stigma and carefully pressing the pollen onto the tip of the stigma. So as you can see, even the pre-harvest work in vanilla is extremely complex and requires quite a lot of dedication. And maybe also to share a short story of my own experience during my last visit in Madagascar. I was also allowed to try this technique, and my success was very limited. And after the third or the fourth squeezed flower, the farmers wanted to take over their work again. We see this technique also here on the video. The green harvested pods are fermented according to their degree of maturity. A classical fermentation process is then responsible for the development of the typically round and intense Bourbon aroma. This process is initiated with a hot water bath, as you can see in the video. Green vanilla pods are put in wooden baskets and then immersed in hot water at the temperature of approximately 65 degrees Celsius for about 3 minutes. First, this stops biological activity such as mold formation, and second, it of course activates the required fermentation process. Afterwards, the pods are alternately sun and shade dried for approximately 3 weeks. This process helps to maintain a high temperature within every single vanilla pod and promotes the development of the vanilla aroma. Once the moisture content of the pods reaches about 50%, the pods are sorted lengthwise and get further dried on shelves in-house for about 1 month. To then further enhance the flavor development, the pods are controlled on a daily basis and also massaged several times. So what we have seen in the beginning of this video was a part of the sun drying. What follows afterwards is the so-called fine sorting stage. During this stage, the pods are sorted based on their qualities between October and December. Depending on their quality, the pods now have humidity content ranging from 25 up to approximately 36% humidity. Now we have also reached the appropriate product quality in order to start exporting our organic vanilla to our warehouse in Germany. Let's also take a short look into our organic and fair trade product range. In addition to the unprocessed organic Bourbon vanilla pods, we do also offer a variety of semi-finished vanilla products. For example, our finely ground vanilla powder, which always is sterilized, or 3 different extracts with which are varying in the levels of natural vanillin content, enabling an optimal industrial use. So if there are any questions about our organic vanilla products, please always feel free to contact us. We are happy to help you out. With this slide, we leave the field of vanilla and are going to continue with another interesting spice, which is also very intense in flavor. our organic cloves. Geographically, we remain in the vanilla region around the village of Madagascar, because Premium Spices sources its cloves from the same farmers and cooperatives as the vanilla pods. The region around Madagascar, literally translated from Malagasy language, means clove forest. Cloves grow on large trees that can reach heights up to 15 meters. The main harvest takes place between November and December. For the harvest, ladders are made from the fronts of the palm rabianal, which allow the farmers to reach heights up to 10 meters. A somewhat quite risky undertaking. In October, the fronts are picked branch by branch, and the greenish round clusters are then spread out on mats on the ground and left to dry. In the evening, the cloves and steams are separated. So basically the cloves, as we know them, are actually the flower buds. On the picture on the right-hand side, we only see clove steams. After the harvest, as explained just before, the cloves are sun-dried. So on the left, you can see freshly harvested cloves that are still greenish, yellowish. And on the right, in the foreground, the cloves are already more brownish and dry. So when you walk through the villages during the harvest season, you really can smell the intense aroma of the cloves. And sometimes farmers do also have black vanilla at home, which creates a floral mix of different aromas. So it's a truly sensory experience. After the drying process is completed, the cloves are sorted into the common clove grades. We as PRONATEC mainly focus on the standard grade CG3, as well as the hand-selected grade CG1, which contains the fewest headless cloves. This brings us to our further assortment of cloves. In addition to the cloves as such, in CG1 and CG3 quality, we also offer clove steams. Since they have lower oil content, they are often used, for example, in powder or tea bag cut productions to make the final product less humid and more free-floating. Completing the range, we do also sell fine and coarse cuts, which are mainly demanded by our tea customers. So with that, I'm happy to now hand over to my colleague, Yvonne. Thank you very much.
Yes, I will taking you to the area of Anivorano. It is quite easy to get there by car. In Anivorano, there is the headquarters and also the warehouse of the cooperative INSiGHT. We and our local partner, Premium Spices, started the cooperation with INSiGHT in 2014, when we took over the organic and fair trade certification costs of the smallholder organization. The cooperative is located near the port city of Tamatave in eastern Madagascar. It comprises a good 500 members from 6 zones. Each village community has about 15 to 30 members, a local president and a controller. The production area is around 500 hectares, mainly agroforestry mixed crops. The members of the cooperative grow cinnamon, ginger, and turmeric exclusively for us. It rains a lot and heavily in this area. The best way to get to the villages is by boat, as most of the production areas are quite close to the river. Cinnamon, as many of you probably know, is a tree. The farmers work with machetes and cut down the tree as soon as the trunk is thick enough. This takes place in the first semester of the year. The bark is scraped off with the knife. What we will see right now, I think. Yes. They usually do this when the weather is nice, so that they can start drying in the sun right away. Although the cinnamon plants grow back, an additional 15,000 trees are planted each year in the various villages. The seedlings for this are grown in the cooperative tree nursery and distributed to the farmer and the families. In this way, the harvest increases from year to year. The farmer's family then bring the cinnamon to the cooperative, where it is sorted again and put into bags provided by Premium Spices. In a final inspection, an employee of the cooperative measures the moisture and assesses the quality. The cinnamon is then stored in the warehouse in Anivorano and packed into export bags, from where the sacks are transported to Tamatave in the port city. There the container is loaded. The ship can then be on its way for up to 7 or 8 weeks until it arrives the port in Germany, Hamburg. This is because there are no direct routes. Our organic and fair trade product range includes cinnamon bark, cinnamon powder, tea bag cut, and cut. This mainly for the tea and spice industry, but of course also for bakeries. Now we stay in the same region and have a look at the product ginger. Worldwide, leading the ginger business, or the biggest exporter, is China, followed by India, Sri Lanka, Nigeria, Madagascar, Peru, Thailand, Indonesia, and other countries which are not named further. PRONATEC has established cooperation with smallholder cooperatives in Peru and Madagascar in regard of ginger. Compared to vanilla, ginger is a rather uncomplicated product to grow and to process. But it is a lot of manual work, as we will see shortly. Ginger grows to a height of about 50 to 150 centimeters. After a growth phase of good 8 months, it is harvested for the first time. The harvest takes place in the second half of the year. In Madagascar, the work of cultivation and harvesting is still done by hand. So you can see as the roots are dug out by hand and then washed several times. This is sometimes done in the field itself and sometimes at the farmer's home. Each farmer cuts the ginger himself with a knife. Then the ginger is dried in the sun, which is not always easy because of the weather conditions. There are also times when the ginger is finally dried in the huts. The general process, therefore, is harvesting, washing, cutting, drying, and packing. And shipping. Depending on the origin of the ginger, differences in the quality of the composition and concentration of various ingredients, and thus also in the taste profile, can be determined. The smell of the Malagasy ginger is very aromatic. The taste is burning, hot, and spicy. Regarding our ginger product range, you see here dried ginger flakes. We also offer ginger powder, tea bag cut, and ginger cup. also in organic and fair trade certification. Yeah, we stay in the same region, but we will move to our product turmeric, where the same cooperative grows about 1,000 tons of fresh turmeric. In organic farming, there is the so-called internal control system. A certification dossier is prepared for all members of the cooperative. Each cooperative is visited by Yasmin, the certification officer, and the internal controllers are trained. The rules for organic and fair trade are discussed. The practical part is also carried out directly on the plots to deepen best practices such as pruning, replanting, plant protection, and harvesting techniques. Subsequently, the internal controllers organize training sessions per village, which are attended by the members of the cooperative. Visits to the producer families only take place when we are informed by the internal controllers that the producers have some difficulties in complying with the organic and fair trade production rules. For this, we have a responsible manager in the Mitsinso cooperative. She visits the producers and supports them on site. The biggest challenge is that the majority of the producers cannot read and write very well and have difficulties in complying with the rules on documentation and traceability. Therefore, this direct support to the farmers on the ground is very important, and it is also appreciated by the small farmers. In this way, we can improve the farmers' level of education and ensure traceability. We also forward requests to the management so that the tailored solutions can be offered. You now see the hard work this woman is doing daily during some time. It is roughly the same process as for ginger and in the same region in Anivorano. This means that the turmeric is harvested, washed, cut, and dried by the farmers themselves. And it's really hard work. Most of the times there are quite a lot of insects. It is warm as it is today here in Switzerland, or even warmer, and the farmers are out and work really hard to provide this excellent product. You can now follow how this lady is cutting with a knife the fresh turmeric. In Madagascar, we only use turmeric to dry. That means for the tea and powder industry. The farmers receive a local price for turmeric as well as for the ginger or cinnamon, which is usually quite stable. They receive an extra charge because they are organically certified and also receive a fair trade surcharge that is paid out immediately. Approximately half of the floor fair trade premium is paid directly and the rest goes to the cooperative. Now we see a short sequence of packing of the turmeric into the bags. It is still in Anivorano. Then it is forwarded to the port town of Tamatave. The goods are unpacked again, dried completely and packed into export sacks before the containers are loaded and go its way to Europe. Turmeric from Madagascar is characterized by the high curcumin content of approximately 4 to 4.5%. As you know, it is recommended to consume turmeric together with pepper or chili so that the body can better absorb the active ingredient curcumin. As well as our ginger, we offer dried turmeric flakes, powdered tea bag cut, and cut, all in organic and fair trade certification. Now we head all the way up to the north, from the capital towards Ambanja, where our cocoa is grown. We travel for about 2 days on small national roads. As you can see, this is on the northwestern coast near the Sambirano River. Since its foundation in 2017, we have supported the young cocoa cooperative CPCS, which means Cooperative Premium Cocoa Sambirano from Madagascar, helped with the organic and fair trade certification and by the entire cocoa harvest. 357 smallholders from 12 villages cultivate around 700,000 cocoa trees. Cultivating cocoa is the most important livelihood for many farmers in those regions. This cooperative still needs a lot of organizational support. The members are not yet used to working together as a team. So there is a lot of explaining to do and a lot of training and intensive mentoring. Madagascar is a so-called oral society. People do not write down too much. So the whole certification process is time-consuming and takes a lot of time. Ambanja is the most important cocoa region in Madagascar, and it is characterized by the hot and humid climate with fertile soil. The cocoa trees grow best in the shade, sometimes together with coffee plants. You see the trees are quite high and there are not so many cocoa fruit as in some other regions of this world. Each farmer has its own field and sells the cocoa pods fresh to the cooperative. A person called the preparer in the village then takes care of the processing, i.e. the fermentation process and drying. The farmers in this region are often on the move with motorbikes and boats. As a rule, the cocoa is brought to the village square with oxen in wagons and cut up there with the machete. Here you can see the fermentation boxes, and depending on the temperature, cocoa stays about 2 days per box. That means a total of probably 5 to 6 days in these fermentation cascades at approximately 50 degrees so that the fermentation process can move on. The quality we and in the quality you like. As we can see here, the drying takes place in the sun. Such drying fields were constructed with low fair trade premiums, among other things, so that drying can take place on clean surfaces. When the cocoa is dry, it is also transported to Ambanja. In Ambanza, cocoa is again sorted, weighted, and packed into export sacks by Premium Spices employees. From there, the bags are driven to the northernmost point, to the port city of Diego Suarez in Madagascar, which again requires an adventurous journey of about 2 days. The road conditions are precarious and no travel is possible during the rainy season. From there, the containers then are shipped towards Europe. Our cocoa product range includes beans, from which the cocoa mass is produced, and then chocolates and coatings, as well as chocolate bars. The balanced cocoa from Madagascar delights people across the globe with its intense, full and sweet taste with a hint of bitterness and rounded off with slightly sour, but a lot of fruity aromas. Yeah, these are the regions we wanted to show you. I just have one slide left, which is an important one. It shows a little bit the projects, the cooperatives, and we have been working on in the last year. Sometimes financed through the FLO Fair Trade premiums. There you can see, for example, the financial support for poverty-stricken families and pensioners. Also construction of water supply and electricity facilities, spades and harvesting knives. There is also money spent in house and warehouse construction, water connections, electricity, but also in awareness raising of the protection of the water catchment areas. And as I already mentioned, seedlings are distributed to the families. I would now like to give the word to our colleague Irina and ask if there are some questions.
And if there are any questions afterwards, I know that, or I hope you know where to find us, and we're always happy to discuss with you, to discuss a few projects in Madagascar, to talk about our products, to explain our products, and also not only vanilla or spices, but also cocoa or sugars from Latin America. And yeah, with that, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for your attention, and wish you a nice rest of your week.
Yeah, many thanks from my part as well. It was a pleasure taking you to Madagascar, and talk and see you soon. Thank you.